We are back, the Varsity Voices, and another reveal in Zuko's All-Dawg team, the 12 Days of Dawgs. And today we are shining a light on the specialists, the dogs who change games in moments most people overlook. The players who flip the field position, create momentum, and deliver when one play could change everything. They don't get the most chances, but when they do, they make them count. This is one of my kind of favorite picks, Dan, for the exact reason that I just mentioned, because these are the players who change the games in one play, whether it's a return or whether it's something else, but they can change the momentum in one play. And there's a couple of guys within the Chicago Catholic League who are really good at that.
If you are looking to buy or sell a home, contact RE/MAX Realtor and Circle of Legends recipient Christopher Cobb. Let Chris's extensive negotiating experience work to guide you on all of your real estate buying and selling needs. Contact Christopher now to discuss the right strategy for your personalized real estate buying and selling plan. His number is 630-420-0070, or you can visit his website at christophercobb.com.
And I'm sure we'll talk about them. But I do love this position on Zuko's All-Dawg team because these players are electric and they change the momentum or change the game in what can be one play.
Yeah. And, in a lot of cases, at least what I looked at, Joe, and again, we don't talk about this beforehand. So I looked at the returners. They are the guys, returners, and they're typically wideouts and DBs, but also guys that might block that extra point or block a field goal. Mm-hmm. And they typically come from the same group of guys, but it's there's stats out there, and I don't have them, but I'm going to reference them that talk right about when you get a return for a touchdown, a block punt, for a touchdown, one of those things, how your winning percentage, your likelihood just skyrockets. Like you shouldn't lose a game when you block a punt for a touchdown or get a return for a pick six or something, or or a return touchdown. So they are perfectly described by you in that they change the game in a moment, and just when you think something looks one way, they can flip it immediately.
Yeah, and it's not just like, say, touchdowns only, like, say, for example, a returner. But it's somebody, if it takes a ball and he brings it out from the 2-yard line and gets it out over midfield on the return, and that's huge, right?
Yeah.
Didn't necessarily score a touchdown, but, getting that ball out to the 40, 50-yard line and flipping the field on a kickoff is just a huge momentum changer in a football game. So, I mean, all those kinds of things matter. And some of these guys that I'm sure we're going to talk about do it really well. Who did you look at, Dan, for this spot or for this position?
I talked a lot this year about, and we joked about it, not kicking to Quentin Burrell because he was just so dangerous in the return game as well as the receiver. And he really was a game changer all over the field. So Quentin Burrell was someone that I kind of looked at pretty closely. And then there was Damasio Ortegon from Montini, and Nico Castaldo. I think Damasio may have had a couple kickoff return touchdowns. Luke Doyle from Bennett. He was one of those guys, Joe, that you talked about. You touched on what I saw. Luke had a couple punt returns for touchdowns, which I really like because I hate when punt returners let the ball drop. I feel like that's something that has changed in the last 10 years, that it's like, just let it drop, and we'd rather not turn it over, have a muff, which I understand, but I'd love to see a guy catch it. And Luke does that. He's also a guy that probably had a dozen kickoff returns out to the 50 where it was like, one tackle away. But when I got down to it, and who really had the ability to change a game, really dangerous, seemed to do it at the right moments too. Came back to old friend from last year, Zach Washington at St. Francis.
Yeah,
he is
pick.
just
Good
so
choice.
dangerous. He was a guy that seemed to do it at big moments in big games. It wasn't about his ability to do it just as a regular thing. It was when he did it. It was when St. Francis needed some momentum during the year, and he was just timely. He's electric with the football. He's got fantastic speed. So Zach Washington was my choice for All-Dawg specialist this year, Joe. Who did you go with?
Really good choice, and all the guys you just mentioned, I looked at as well, Dan. And in addition to those, there was one other, and from Leo, and that was Derek Davis, who they used all over the field in multiple positions. He was at quarterback. He was at wide receiver. He was at defensive back. He was a return guy for kickoffs and for punts. And you mentioned the word electric. Derek Davis is an electric player for Leo. And, like we mentioned before with Javon Dale, who is one of my picks for defensive back. Derek Davis was really a game changer for Leo. And, he was right up there as far as, even though he didn't get as much exposure, as much press as maybe some of the other players, but he was right up there as well. But my choice, Dan, for a specialist is the same as yours, and that's Zach Washington. And it's for all the reasons you mentioned. Plus, I looked at a bunch of his kickoff returns, and like I said, there were a couple of touchdowns, but what he did consistently was bring the ball out and get it past the 30, 35, 40, 50-yard line. And it just put St. Francis in a really good position for their offense all the time. And he was so consistent in that. And he is an electric player as well. His 40 time is under 4.4. I think he's
that's flying.
Clocked at 4.35, something like that. Going to Michigan State, and they're getting an electric player and a game changer as well. Because Zach Washington, when he touches the ball, you've got to be aware of him, constantly. You got to know where he's at, and he makes a huge difference in a football game. And those are the kind of players that you want. And obviously those are the kind of players that we want and we pick for Zuko's All-Dawg team.
Yeah, he's a great pick. He's a 2-time All-Dawg team member.
He is.
So
yes.
Yeah, we've got to make sure that we mention that. So congratulations to Zach.
And I considered him for the wide receiver position as well. Because really dynamic and electric there too. But I knew I wanted him on my team. And, this is where I wanted to put him. Congrats to Zach. Very deserving. And like you said, a repeat Zuko's All-Dawg team member.
Yeah. 2-time dog. That's pretty rare.
2-time dog. It is rare. I think there's only 2, right? Tommy Thies and Zach Washington, or are there more than that?
I thought Jalen Torres may have been on a team last year too.
Yeah.
St. Francis well represented. But
yeah, they are for sure.
Yeah.
And they should be.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they should be.
And Quentin Burrell too, maybe too, Joe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah. We'll have to go back and listen.
Okay. Yeah, we don't do that often enough, right?
Right.
Okay. All right. And those are today's specialist dogs, players who prove that every snap matters and every role has value. The hidden yardage heroes who brought the bite when it mattered most. The countdown continues as Zuko's 12 Days of Dawgs rolls on, one reveal at a time, all the way to Christmas Eve. And until next time, stay ready, stay sharp, and always seize your moment like a dog.